Story 1: I am 37, she is 32, and until recently, our wedded life had been nothing short of remarkable. The occasional arguments were but a minor blip in our otherwise affectionate, satisfying, and joy-filled union. Our bed life was less frequent than in our early days, but still healthy and lively. My wife was everything I had ever dreamed of: intelligent, humorous, stunning, and I found immense satisfaction in the life I was able to provide for us. While my job demanded 40 to 60 hours per week, she pursued her passions as a part-time professor at a local community college and a yoga instructor. However, my world collapsed around me 4 months ago when, in a moment of curiosity, I happened to go through her emails. There, a conversation with an unfamiliar male name caught my attention. The thread was filled with explicit exchanges, the man emailing my wife explicit videos of their illicit affair. My emotions surged like a storm, shock and anger being the predominant forces. With hours before her return home, I used the time to collect myself and plan my next steps. The videos were like a haunting echo, playing over and over in my mind, shattering my belief in the life we'd painstakingly built together. I prepared to confront her, intending to leave for the night to process the crushing reality on my own. Upon her return, I confronted her with the undeniable evidence. Instantly, she broke down, tears streaming down her face as she admitted to her indiscretion and apologized profusely. My anger peaked, and I informed her of my decision to leave for a while, her sobs growing louder, pleas for my stay echoing in the room. During my stay at my brother's, she continuously reached out, expressing her love and remorse. After 2 weeks, I found myself missing her, leading me to return home and attempt reconciliation. I was met with the same vague answers every time I questioned her actions. The man was a 27-year-old professor who had recently joined her department. She vowed to regain my trust, proposing a set of measures, including cutting off all contact with the man, changing jobs, allowing me to monitor her location and access her emails, taking an STD test, and seeking professional counseling. Her deep remorse was evident, and her commitment to our reconciliation was unwavering. She lived up to her promises and was genuinely grateful for the second chance, making it a joy to be around her. Yet the damage had been done. Despite our progress, the memories of her affair, particularly the explicit videos, were a constant source of agony, humiliation, and embarrassment. I maintained the essence and details of your story while enhancing the narrative flow and readability. Let me know if there are any specific aspects you'd like to further discuss or develop. The resentment towards my wife was immense, impeding our progress. Their close relationship was unprotected, the man well endowed. She seemed to enjoy their encounters more, wearing new lingerie and participating in acts that she had previously deemed distasteful in our relationship. Her enthusiasm was markedly higher with him, even going so far as to engage in acts we had never considered, much to my dismay and confusion. My attempts to understand why she engaged in these acts with him, when she refused to do so with me, always met with I don't know, further plummeting my self-esteem. The haunting images of their encounters served as cruel reminders of my perceived inadequacies, and our intimacy suffered as a result. My mind continuously plagued with the thought that I might not have been enough for her. The fallout of my wife's infidelity was a wound that had festered. Our efforts towards reconciliation merely attempts to mend a fabric that had been torn beyond repair. The memories of the affair, the explicit videos, were deeply etched into my mind, each detail causing fresh agony. My resentment towards my wife grew, the trust I had placed in her irrevocably shattered. I was stuck in a vortex of humiliation and embarrassment. The moments she shared with the other man were too graphic and explicit, acts that she had never engaged in with me. It was a cruel reminder of my perceived inadequacies, and my self-esteem plummeted further. Their enthusiastic encounters, her apparent enjoyment, and participation in acts previously deemed distasteful in our relationship only fueled my sense of betrayal. As days turned into weeks, my feelings of betrayal transformed into a desire for retribution. If her affair partner was capable of shattering our lives without remorse, then he deserved to feel the consequences of his actions. The thought of revenge began to consume me. I had unrestricted access to my wife's email as part of her attempt to regain my trust. Among her emails, I found more explicit videos of their affair, each one a damning piece of evidence against the man. An idea began to form in my mind, a plan. I elaborated on the emotional turmoil and the protagonist's feelings of betrayal and inadequacy, as well as his growing desire for revenge. Let me know if you would like further development or exploration of any specific aspect of the story. In my quest for justice, determined to expose the professor for what he truly was, I embarked on a meticulous journey. First, I carefully extracted all the incriminating videos from my wife's email, preserving them in a secure location. Then, fueled by a mix of anger and vindication, I delved deeper into the professor's life, both personal and professional. What I uncovered was damning. Not only was he a willing participant in violating my marriage, but he was also betraying his own vows. He was married himself. Armed with this knowledge, the time for retribution felt imminent. I meticulously compiled a list of contacts, meticulously including the students under his tutelage, his colleagues at the university, and, most significantly, his wife. Each individual on that list would receive an email, a raw, unfiltered glimpse into the true character of the man who had crossed boundaries without remorse. The process of preparing for my retribution was painstaking. I created an anonymous email account, ensuring it couldn't be traced back to me. With careful precision, I crafted the email, ensuring my words cut as deeply as the evidence I was about to present. As the days passed, a grim sense of satisfaction settled within me. I was no longer a victim. I was reclaiming my dignity, one calculated step at a time. And when the moment arrived, I hit send. The aftermath of my retribution was swift, brutal, and far-reaching. The emails, laden with lurid, explicit content, spread across the university community like wildfire on a dry Californian day. It sparked a chain reaction, sending shockwaves through the academic realm that were astonishing to witness. The ripple effect was palpable. Shock and disbelief reverberated outward from the epicenter of the scandal, leaving no one untouched. The once respected academic authority found himself suspended pending investigation. His reputation, painstakingly built over years of dedicated service and perceived integrity, was now tarnished beyond recognition. Allegations of immoral conduct eclipsed his previous achievements, thrusting him into the limelight for all the wrong reasons. A man entrusted to guide and educate the next generation was now seen as a predator, a wolf in sheep's clothing. His students, once in awe of him, turned against him with fervor. Respect and admiration were replaced by deep-seated disgust and betrayal. They boycotted his lectures, protested his presence, and took to social media to express their outrage. His colleagues, too, distanced themselves, their faces reflecting a mix of disgust and disapproval. The academic community, usually a bastion of intellect and camaraderie, now stood divided, grappling with the fallout of one man's indiscretions. I expanded on the protagonist's meticulous planning and the far-reaching consequences of his retribution, emphasizing the moral and ethical implications of his actions. Let me know if you need further development or clarification on any aspect. The close-knit community surrounding the professor felt the shockwaves of his misconduct swiftly. His office, once a hub of collaboration and camaraderie, transformed into a pariah's den, with colleagues avoiding it like the plague. The warmth of camaraderie was replaced by icy cold shoulders and averted eyes. In a stunning act of public shaming, some of his fellow educators projected the explicit videos onto the large screen in the lecture hall, ensuring that the man's disgrace was visible for all to witness. The fallout extended far beyond his professional life, seeping into his personal realm with equal ferocity. In his personal life, the professor faced a barrage of shock, anger, and betrayal. His wife, a woman who had stood steadfastly by his side through thick and thin, was utterly devastated. Unable to bear the weight of his betrayal, she swiftly filed for divorce. The circle of friends they had meticulously built over the years rallied around her, firmly taking her side. Their once happy home, filled with love and laughter, now reverberated with the echoes of accusations and heartbreak. His actions had not only destroyed my marriage, but his own as well. Meanwhile, my wife was completely blindsided by my retaliatory actions. I had deliberately kept her in the dark about my plans, wanting to shield her from the inevitable backlash. When the emails surfaced, she was as taken aback as everyone else, perhaps even more so. As she grappled with the enormity of her actions, I observed from the sidelines, my heart heavy with a tumultuous mix of anger, betrayal, and a strange sense of vindication. Her remorse, once a hollow echo of regret, now transformed into a profound, gut-wrenching understanding of the irreparable damage she had caused. The tears she shed were no longer solely for herself, but also for the pain and humiliation she had inflicted upon me. She began to comprehend the full extent of her actions, the ripple effect they had unleashed, and the devastation left in their wake. In the weeks that followed, I made the painful decision to file for divorce. Despite her impassioned pleas for another chance, promising to change and make amends, the trust that had once formed the bedrock of our relationship was irretrievably shattered. Deep-seated resentment had taken root, an insidious force that no amount of remorse could erase. The divorce proceedings served as a stark, painful reminder of the love that had once blossomed between us. As I watched her, my heart ached with the weight of what could have been, yet knowing that it was time to walk away. I expanded upon the repercussions of the professor's actions, emphasizing the profound impact on both his professional and personal life, as well as the complex emotional journey experienced by the protagonist and his wife. Let me know if you require further elaboration or exploration of any aspect. Across the room, as I gazed upon her, I no longer saw the woman I had once fallen in love with. Instead, there stood a stranger, a painful reminder of the profound loss I felt. It wasn't just the woman she had become that left me mourning, but also the memory of who she used to be. She was the one who had filled my days with laughter and my nights with warmth, my partner, confidant, and best friend. Now, she was but a ghost, a haunting echo of the past. In the end, I walked away with a heavy heart, our marriage reduced to a pile of divorce papers and a trail of broken promises. Yet, as I stepped out of the courtroom, a realization dawned upon me: I was leaving with my dignity intact. No longer was I merely the man who had been wronged. I had become the man who stood up against betrayal. By exposing the truth and holding my wife accountable for her actions, I reclaimed a sense of power over my own life. The months that followed were a journey of healing and self-discovery. I sought therapy to navigate the emotional turmoil, confronting feelings of betrayal, humiliation, and inadequacy head-on. Reconnecting with old friends provided solace and understanding, while throwing myself into my work offered a renewed sense of purpose and fulfillment. Brick by brick, I began to rebuild my life. With each step forward, I turned my focus inward, embarking on a journey of self-discovery that proved both enlightening and painful. I came to realize that my worth was not defined by my wife's actions. It was defined by my own. I was not the inadequate, insufficient man her infidelity had made me believe I was. I was deserving of love, respect, and loyalty. The haunting images of the affair, once consuming my every waking moment, gradually lost their grip on me. In their place arose a newfound sense of self-worth and self-respect, stronger than any blow my wife's betrayal could deliver. In the end, I emerged from the darkness stronger, more resilient. I was a man who had faced the ultimate betrayal and emerged not unscathed, but unbowed. I had reclaimed my dignity, and in doing so, found a newfound sense of strength and purpose. My journey towards reclaiming my self-respect was a testament to my resilience and inner strength. I didn't just survive infidelity. I transformed a painful experience into an opportunity for personal growth and self-discovery. Confronting the specter of betrayal head-on, I refused to let it define or break me. Life post-divorce ushered in a strange new reality, one I had to navigate with care. My once vibrant home, brimming with shared memories and laughter, now echoed with a profound silence, a stark reminder of the void her absence had left behind. Yet within that silence, I discovered a sanctuary for healing, reflection, and growth. Developing a routine became my anchor, offering comfort in its predictability and stability. I committed to taking better care of myself, both physically and emotionally. Embracing new hobbies and reigniting old passions, I unearthed parts of myself that had long been buried beneath the turmoil of my failed marriage. As I embarked on this new chapter of my life, I found solace in my work. What was once merely a means to an end transformed into a source of profound fulfillment. Immersing myself in my research, I found a renewed sense of purpose and accomplishment. The recognition from my colleagues for my resilience and determination further bolstered my growing sense of self-worth. Story 2, this story that began when I was but a child of 10. Alongside her, my childhood companion. It's a strange and wondrous sensation to look back and realize that the girl I once played tag with in the park would one day become the woman I would marry, and ultimately, the woman who would shatter my heart into a million pieces. Our bond, nurtured through years of friendship, blossomed into a passionate love. By the tender age of 18, we were inseparable, our connection so palpable that the word infatuation seemed insufficient to capture its intensity. We were drawn to each other magnetically, as if destined by some unseen force to be together. When I finally mustered the courage to pop the question during a romantic Valentine's Day getaway at the age of 21, it felt like a mere formality. We both knew, deep down, that we were meant to be. Our life together unfolded with beautiful simplicity. We both held respectable jobs, maintained a cozy and immaculately kept home, and were surrounded by a warm and supportive circle of friends and family. By intertwining the narrative of personal growth and self-discovery with the origin of the relationship, I aim to create a more engaging and cohesive storyline. Let me know if there are any specific elements you'd like to further elaborate on or explore. Our life together resembled the picture-perfect scenes you often see in Instagram posts. Cozy evenings, shared laughter, and a bond that seemed unbreakable. It was a life that felt like a dream, one I cherished deeply and wouldn't have traded for anything in the world. However, as I would soon come to realize, perfection was nothing more than an illusion, a facade masking the cracks beneath the surface. The first inkling that our seemingly flawless relationship was not as it seemed came when I stumbled upon a string of texts on her phone from a colleague. While there was no explicit flirting, there lingered an undercurrent of something that gnawed at my gut. The messages were suggestive, bordering on inappropriate, and they set off alarm bells in my head. Fueled by a potent mix of fear and anger, I confronted her, demanding that she sever all ties with him. To my relief, she complied, blocking him right before my eyes. Naively, I believed that was the end of it, but I couldn't have been more wrong. Fast forward to one fateful Sunday night. I co-owned a thriving business with my cousin, a venture we had poured our blood, sweat, and tears into since our early 20s. The workload often demanded late nights at the office, and that particular night was no exception. I texted my wife around midday, informing her of my late hours and urging her not to wait up for me. Her response came swiftly, filled with understanding and reassurance of her love. Little did I know, her words would soon ring hollow. Later that evening, around 7 p.m., I decided to surprise her by coming home early. As I stepped into our home, a sense of foreboding washed over me, accompanied by hushed voices emanating from upstairs. My heart pounded in my chest as I ascended the staircase, each step heavier than the last. And then, there they were, my wife and the man from the text messages, their bodies entwined in a tableau of betrayal. Rage consumed me. Without a second thought, I lunged at the man, my fist connecting with his face before he even had a chance to utter an apology. I ejected him from our home, leaving him shoeless and defeated. My wife, on the other hand, was a sobbing mess, pleading for forgiveness and spouting excuses that fell on deaf ears. I didn't have the energy or desire to listen. Instead, I instructed her to pack her bags and leave my sight. In the aftermath of the confrontation, my phone buzzed incessantly with calls and messages from her friends and family, all of which I ignored. The only person I spoke to was her father, who surprisingly sided with me, sharing my fury. Yet, despite the support, I couldn't shake the profound sense of loss. The woman I had loved for nearly my entire life had discarded everything we had built for a fleeting, sleazy fling with someone else. I expanded on the emotional turmoil and initial signs of trouble in the relationship, leading up to the climactic confrontation, while maintaining the integrity and flow of your original narrative. Let me know if you need further development or exploration of any aspect. The revelation of her infidelity hit me like a sudden blow to the gut, leaving me reeling with the harsh reality of betrayal. Our once shared dreams now lay shattered like a sandcastle washed away by the tide. She had shattered our sacred bond, and the love I once held for her was now tainted with the bitter taste of betrayal. As I watched her pack her belongings, her sobs echoing through the halls of our once happy home, I couldn't help but feel a surge of resentment and hurt. I had poured my heart and soul into loving her, only to be left with a hollow emptiness in its wake. With each item she placed into her suitcase, it felt like another piece of our shared past was being erased, further driving home the finality of our relationship. The days that followed were a blur of legal meetings and paperwork. I had enlisted the help of a divorce lawyer, a stern yet empathetic figure who assured me that he would handle everything with care. We discussed our shared assets, financial commitments, and the possibility of alimony, each conversation serving as a stark reminder of the impending end of our once promising union. Just as I was beginning to find some semblance of peace amidst the chaos, she appeared at my doorstep, her face pale and eyes wide with fear. The revelation that she was pregnant hit me like a ton of bricks, igniting a fresh wave of panic within me. I demanded a DNA test, unwilling to accept the child as mine until I had irrefutable proof. The process of obtaining the prenatal paternity test proved to be more complicated than I had anticipated, fraught with weeks of anxiety, resentment, and a strange glimmer of hope. But when the results finally arrived, it was like a devastating punch to the gut. The child was not mine. The truth of her pregnancy added yet another layer of complexity to an already agonizing situation. The man she had been involved with, the biological father of her child, was himself married, and his wife was also expecting. Watching her come to terms with the consequences of her actions evoked a tumult of emotions within me. There was a part of me that felt a twisted sense of satisfaction, seeing her confront the repercussions of her choices. Yet, intertwined with that feeling was a sense of pity. She had made her bed, and now she was left to lie in it, alone and pregnant with a child conceived from an affair. As she walked away from my home, for what I hoped would be the last time, I felt a strange sense of relief wash over me. The woman I had loved and lost was now just a painful chapter in my life, a chapter that had come to a close, granting me the freedom to begin anew. Though the road ahead was uncertain, I was ready to embrace the possibilities that lay before me, to rebuild my life from the ruins of a love that had once meant everything to me.